The 9th episode of the 9th season of Rick and Morty is finally here, and it starts with the whole family in the school principal's office, who has a very serious problem to discuss with them, especially with Morty. Since the last time he was at school, he handed out a bunch of mind worms that spread all over the place and have been giving all the teachers perfect memories ever since. What a way to start the episode. On top of that, it doesn't help at all that Summer has been building toilets that shout insults every time someone sits down. For that and many other reasons, the kids are about to be expelled from school right away. But even though their mother is yelling at him, Summer has completely blocked out her signal. She can't hear a single word these pessimists are saying. That is, until Rick shows up through a portal, dressed like a farmer. When he finds out the kids have been expelled, Rick shoots the principal with a transformer ray and turns him into a carrot. But Jerry reminds him that won't help the kids' case at all. So Rick changes him back to what he was before. Except his clothes weren't included in the transformation, and now the principal is left completely traumatized, to the point that he decides to cancel the expulsion and give the kids perfect grades for the rest of the year. But that's exactly what their parents are trying to avoid. Letting the kids be so spoiled and get everything they want isn't doing them any good. At that moment, Morty thanks him for being useless and always saving them, and when Rick tries to strangle him, he realizes it's just a log, since Morty has been using his ninjas to attend school because he thinks it's a complete waste of time. Tired of all this, Rick decides to humor his daughter and raises his hand in the air, while she tells him about a school she knows, where rich scientists send their spoiled kids, and it could be the solution to all their problems. A few seconds after holding his hand up, Morty gets dragged there straight from the house. The kid crashes through the roof with tremendous force, and Rick catches him, telling him to pack his things since he'll be gone for a while, and that includes his sister. In the next scene, we see the kids with their grandfather, flying the ship toward their new school, while they kick his seat to annoy him and behave as badly as they possibly can the whole way there. The kids are convinced they're amazing, and that they're being punished for being better than everyone else. But Rick makes it clear that he's the only one who's actually done something great with his life, and that they're nothing but leeches and parasites living off his inventions without having accomplished anything themselves. Tired of their words and their complaints, Rick raises the ship's partition so they can't keep bothering him. But then Morty makes a prank call, pushing his nerves to the limit, and at that moment, all he wants is to throw them into a star so they get instantly pulverized. At that point, Rick decides to do something drastic and activates the system that strips the kids of every device embedded in their bodies, so they go back to being two ordinary young people with no advantage during their new stay at school. Each of them ends up being dismembered instantly, as all the devices that made them special are pulled out of their bodies by a huge magnetic force, and then a gas heals all their wounds, leaving them as two more regular Earthlings with no edge or gadget to get their way. The next button he presses locks them in a capsule and shoots them down to the planet's surface, making them land right at the entrance of Shergill Camp, the new place where they'll spend a few weeks and where their parents hope they'll learn a lesson. As soon as they get out of the capsule, they're dragged off by two guys who take them into a building to go through initiation. This includes a huge amount of chores and forced labor meant to teach them humility, but it turns out it's all a joke, since a riot has just broken out across the whole camp and the young campers have gotten rid of the old staff. Now, what was supposed to be a military school or something like that is an endless party where they can do whatever they want. Back home, Jerry and his wife can't believe the huge silence and calm they feel in the house without the kids. And instead of using this alone time to strengthen their relationship, they go into the kids' rooms to search every corner for drugs or anything illegal. After pressing a hidden button inside one of the drawers, a portal opens up in the closet, revealing dozens of different pipes and some substances that could be something strange, plus a tiny alien who knows a lot and acts as their own private substance bartender. The only thing they recognize is something like a cigarette, so they decide to try it and make the most of the free time they've got. However, when Jerry takes a puff, he blows out a strange pink smoke that instantly mellows them out. But the truly surprising part is the side effect that kicks in a few minutes later, since their eyes turn blue and grow bigger, making them see a completely psychedelic world. And the first thing Beth wants to do is steal a car and speed down the highway. But before they can run off to do that, she hears her father's voice, who has finally come back from his trip and is sure to be a buzzkill. Jerry knows something very strange is happening to them, so he tries to read the package of whatever they just smoked and realizes it says mellowed out forever, which could mean the effect won't ever wear off, and that's a problem. Back with the kids, they're getting to know some other young people who are a bit more drastic and rebellious than they are, since when they ask what happened to the counselors, they're told they were all murdered, and their bones lie in the woods where the crows feed on what's left. Snake and Mole are very pleased with what they did, but the look on Summer's face tells us this is a bit much, and that maybe killing your camp counselors isn't a level she's ready for. Luckily, she manages to hide it a little, and while Snake gives them a tour of all the activities available, especially the amphitheater, a place they've chosen to give in to their wildest instincts and, basically, spend the whole day hooking up. They also have activities like target practice with the dummies and the cafeteria, a place stocked with anything they could want, since supplies keep arriving, and all they have to do is wear a disguise to receive them. But they also get delivery, since many of them are children of millionaire parents who believe their kids are learning how to behave and will soon come back to them as respectful, law-abiding people eager to learn. But they couldn't be more wrong, since the camp has belonged to the kids for almost 2 years now, and they keep sending reports saying they still need more time. What a huge lie they've been told. But that's none of Summer's or Morty's business, so they spend the rest of the day enjoying the camp and the endless party going on everywhere. Meanwhile, back on Earth, their parents are starting to lose their minds, and after a couple of hours, completely mellowed out. The effect still hasn't worn off. Jerry is completely sure he's going to get fired, but he could always become an artist or a musician, although the thought of spending the rest of his life under the effects of that stuff gives him no satisfaction. Beth has an idea and gets on the vast intergalactic internet to ask if there's any way to stop the effect, and it turns out there is. They need to get the tentacles of a Darkhan, a creature that lives on the planet Mars, but they can also just order delivery. However, that service is down for the moment, so they'll have to go there themselves. But Rick must not find out about any of this, since showing him that they're just as irresponsible as the grandkids he just sent off to a military camp isn't a good way to set an example. The only problem is that doing anything while this mellowed out is a complete ordeal. Just getting down the stairs takes them forever, since they can't actually count how many there are. So Jerry just lets himself drop down, but they can hear Rick in the garage, so they'll have to wait for him to get distracted so they can sneak in and use his equipment to get a space taxi. The only problem is that Rick seems very busy with his giant carrots, since he can't find a buyer for them, and maybe that's because they're actually people he transformed with his ray. As soon as Rick heads down to the basement, Beth takes the chance and uses her computer to call a taxi, which turns out to be a space caterpillar that arrives in just 3 seconds. So they'll have to leave and ask questions about the giant carrots with eyes later. The giant caterpillar sucks them inside its body and then scans their minds to give them the most comfortable place they can imagine, and it turns out to be the limousine they rode in on their way to graduation, which couldn't be more perfect, especially given that they're still mellowed out. Beth tries to get her husband to relax and pours the champagne, but Jerry is so happy and content that all he can think about is repeating what he did so many years ago, climbing out through the sunroof and shouting his love for her. The problem is that they're moving at a dizzying speed through space, and sticking their heads out is not going to be a very good idea. As soon as they do, they're yanked back with tremendous force, almost to the point of being stranded in the middle of nowhere, but the enormous caterpillar does a flip and sucks them back inside its body. The only problem is that it can't brake in time, and it crashes into a mall on Mars with devastating force, tearing through not just the roof, but the floor, too, all the way down to the basement. Because of this and its recklessness, the caterpillar charges them double, but at least they've made it to their destination, and now all they have to do is find the store that sells Darkhan. But while that's happening, the kids are at an endless party, abusing substances and drinking until they pass out. The problem with this lifestyle is that after a couple of days, it stops being so fun. Waking up looking different every night and looking more and more worn out every day isn't something they can put up with much longer. On top of that, their earthling stomachs make them pay for it, and they spend a good part of the day in the bathrooms, throwing up and expelling every last drop of alcohol they've had. The problem with all of this is that the rest of the aliens around them aren't very kind and act like jerks the whole time, pushing the bathrooms down a hill and making their lives a nightmare. By the end of the 5th day, they're already fed up, especially when one of the aliens gives birth right in the common room, and the kids just want to keep partying and give the baby some beer. So the siblings start discussing how to get out of there, but Snake overhears them, and that's not something they want. Mole reminds them that they took an oath to the party, and now they're acting like a couple of total bores, just like the camp counselors used to be, and they already know what happened to them. So they put a keg of beer in one hand and the baby in the other, and it's best if they drink it all, or they'll pay the consequences. At that moment, the kids realize that being a jerk might not be the best option, and they run off from the camp trying to escape before they get caught. Back with their parents, Beth is using the translator to get to the pharmacy, and once there, she starts scanning each of the products, trying to finally find the one they need to get free of the effect. But it turns out that particular medicine is protected by a security system, and when they press the button, they can see that the agent assigned to help them is getting on a bus and then a plane, so they'll have to wait until that guy finally arrives. Fed up with all of this, Beth grabs an axe from the tool display and smashes the glass to grab the medicine and drink it as fast as possible along with her husband, who tells her the security guard is coming and they need to run immediately. As they run through the whole mall with the guards chasing them, their eyes start going back to normal, or so it seems, since after reading the box carefully with the translator, Beth realizes the medicine is meant only for living beings with 2 hearts, and as we all know, humans don't have the ones they need. At that moment, Jerry tells her they need to call her father. This has gotten out of hand, and they have no idea how to get rid of the effect. But the only problem is that when Rick shows up through a portal a few seconds later, it turns out he'd also been smoking the same stuff, but he mixed the effect with alcohol and is in a much worse state than they are. Back at the camp, the siblings have managed to run all the way to a small town on the outskirts, trying to find a phone to call their grandfather. There, they walk into a bar and act exactly like jerks, trying to grab the phone from the woman working there, but until they apologize, she won't let them use it. The problem is that when they call Rick and explain what happened at the camp and the complete anarchy everyone else is living in, all he can do is mumble into the phone, since he's under the effects of both substances. Once the call drops, the kids realize they've just made a terrible mistake by revealing to the townspeople that the rich camp kids are alone and unsupervised, since they'd been mocking their rules for a very long time, and now it's payback time. One by one, the townspeople start pulling out weapons and get ready to head to the camp to demand a hefty ransom for each of the kids, who will now wish they weren't partying anymore. As for Rick, he's completely out of it, but he still has just enough clarity left to warn his daughter that the kids are in danger and that they're both too mellowed out to go rescue them. While all this is happening, we see that the townspeople have shoved all the spoiled kids into a container, and the leader tells them that until the ransom is paid, none of them are leaving, and they can thank the Earthlings, who ran their mouths and told everyone what happened. But just as Morty is beating himself up over the mistake, his parents and grandfather suddenly show up through a portal and set them free. The only problem is that Rick has no idea where he left the portal gun, and now they could all end up trapped. Morty opens the container door and shoves his grandfather outside. When he takes hits from the townspeople, his body reacts to defend him, ending up wiping out all of them without even meaning to. This lets the kids reach the shed, where there are axes and bows they can use to defend themselves, plus enough beer to give them the courage to fight. What we see next is a very exciting scene of the kids fighting their captors, chopping off heads and tearing off faces, until finally only a few are left, and the leader has no choice but to surrender. With all the destruction caused at the camp, the kids' parents show up to take them home, realizing they didn't learn a thing in the 2 years they spent there partying. And on the way back, the grandkids have to put up with their parents and grandfather, who are acting exactly the way they themselves used to, finally getting a taste of the other side of the coin. Luckily, Summer reveals that forever was just the name of the cigarette. The effect should wear off in a couple of days, but until then, the kids will have to suffer through the hell of having parents and a grandfather who are complete idiots, and maybe that will teach them a bit of respect and humility. Hopefully this time, they actually learn their lesson. Closing out the 9th episode with a valuable lesson for now, and leaving us to wait another week for the next adventure.